Hello everyone, it's Cassie. Welcome back for another Trinity Stamps video. Today we're going to be making some treat boxes, so let's talk about what we're using. We have this banner builder. I'm going to be using just the letters from the banner builder, but I do love that set. We're also going to be using the Sea Life stamp set. It's so cute to be making some easy, quick backgrounds. I thought we were going to be using the Undersea Adventure stencil, but I changed my mind. However, that is a great coordinating product. But here is our treat box and our shaker add-ons. And these, the treat box goes fine just by itself, but I'll tell you, if you want to step it up, the shaker add-on is the way to go. So I am going to show you how to make the box. I know that others have showed you. Mine might be a little bit different way. This is the easiest way for me. But we're going to go ahead and get started making some backgrounds. Those backgrounds are going to be the shaker or the treat boxes. So I've got 4 pieces of watercolor paper. They measure 6 inches by 6 inches because that's the size of our treat box die. I have 3 different distress spray stains. We've got our broken china, cracked pistachio, and speckled egg. I'm going to start off with our broken china, move on to some cracked pistachio, and then our speckled egg. I've put this into just a little makeshift splatter box. I'm going to heat set that. And I am going to, once that's dry, we're going to splatter it again with the colors again, because I just want to change up these or play with these backgrounds. This to me is one of the best parts of card making is background making. And I love how those distress spray stains look on watercolor paper once they start to dry. And I love how textured that really does look. So I'm going to let that get mostly dry. And I am going to repeat this process for all 4 of those backgrounds. You know, gotta make 4 of them. So I sprayed a little bit more of our broken china, then some cracked pistachio, and then again with the speckled egg. And then I'm going to heat set that. I'm going to be super happy with how that turns out. But you definitely want to do this on watercolor paper because they're wet mediums. All right, so there are 4 backgrounds. I love how they all look. They're different, but they will go together great. So now I'm going to just spritz a little bit of water on that just to kind of get some water droplets, let that sit for a few seconds, and then blot that up with a microfiber cloth. It doesn't do a whole lot, adds a bit more texture to those backgrounds, and then I'm going to make sure that those are nice and dry before I move on to doing the die cutting. You definitely want to make sure these are dry before you try and die cut, because otherwise it'll tear the paper. So like I said, that treat box die measures 6 inches by 6 inches. And so you could do this on lots of your scrapbook paper, your 6x6 pattern papers, whatever, and get lots of fun little treat boxes out of that. We've die cut that 4 times, and there are scraps, not a whole lot. So we'll get rid of that. And then I am going to reinforce each of those score lines because that's the neat thing about this treat box. It does score all the lines for you. And remember, I did this on watercolor paper, and watercolor paper is usually a little bit thicker. So I'm going to use my Teflon tool to reinforce each of those score lines. I love this tool so much. I use it all the time, pretty much for every card I make. All right, so we've done that with all 4 of those now. I'm only going to put together one of these on screen for you because it's obviously going to be the same process over and over again. But we're going to go ahead for our first part. We want to put some rip and stick tape down. And just to make sure that this stays really, really well, I put some rip and stick, and then I grab some Crafty Gluefriend, and then I am going to attach down one treat box to the other. So that will make one treat box. We'll save the other 2 for the other treat box. Okay, since we want to make this a shaker, I'm going to pull out the shaker add-on die, and we'll grab this top die. It has these 2 plates on top, and those are to line it up with those score lines, and you want to make sure that it stays right in those lines. Yes, the die cut part goes beyond, but that's okay. That's what's going to make that shaker so cool. Then I'm going to die cut out 2 of these because obviously we're making 2 treat boxes, and I'm going to reinforce all those score lines. And we are going to even die cut out, and this is going to be our background, but we're going to die cut out some acetate as well using one of the other dies. And there are more dies in there for decoration as well, but we're not going to go into those just yet. So I've folded all of my pieces there. We've die cut, now we're die cutting the acetate, so I'll have 2 of those. And I'm going to reinforce those score lines as well after I kind of wipe that off. Because yes, it will score the acetate. And then I'm just going to kind of play around with that just to show you how that's going to fit over the top of your little box. And you can use that as a shaker. Now, I've seen people put the box together first and then insert it inside. I wanted to try something different. And to be honest with you, this for me was a little bit easier. So I'm going to take my rip and stick tape and I'm going to put it right at the top, just right to the score edges. And then I'll peel off the release paper just on the top and the bottom, because that's the only place I put it. And then I'll line that acetate on there, lining up with the score lines. So we'll have that hanging over kind of inside the treat box. And then I'm playing around with this piece, but I've remembered I have to decorate it first. So we're going to open it up. We'll pull in our Sea Life stamp set, and I am going to put this inside of my mini Misty. At first I thought I would do it with a stamp block, but I thought let's not make that mistake. Otherwise we'll be die cutting more of these. So I'll put this inside my mini Misty, use those magnets to hold everything down, and then I'll put this piece or this stamp right on the inside, and then we're going to stamp that down using some VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. It's just a very crisp black ink. It's a pigment ink, and I want that black to be very, very dark. So I'm going to stamp it a couple of times, and we'll do it for both of the pieces for both of the treat boxes. All right, and it's at this point that I realize that I probably should have decorated the outside of my treat box before I put my acetate on, but hindsight, right? Now I know. So I'm going to bring in the rest of those pieces from the Sea Life stamp set, and we're going to do the same thing using that same VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink, and I love how fun this was. I'm telling you, I had the best time just stamping the little sea scene, and I stamped them a little bit differently, both of them, but I had the best time. This is what stamping and creating is all about. Now that one didn't stamp very well. That's okay. I'm going to fill that in using some of the seaweed. Like that seaweed will be overlapping this particular piece. So I'm not worried about it. There's always usually a way to fix things, right? And I don't think that looks that bad. So then we're going to stamp some more seaweed. And then there are so many pieces in this stamp set. It just makes my heart happy how quickly you can make some backgrounds. And then we've got a manta ray. There's the octopus that I already stamped. There's a shark in there. There's lots of different fish. There's a school of fish. There's a set of 2 fish. It's just fun. So we'll just keep stamping. We're going to spin this school around a little bit. Stamp our shark, of course. But you can see how this little scene is coming together. You do not have to stamp down below on those tabs, because obviously those are going to get covered up. That's the bottom of our box. But just have fun stamping around. You can see those 2 little fish, and those are easy to flip as well. And I had a lot of fun with that one. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some more of that rip and stick on the edges. And I'm kind of playing around trying to, in my mind, think about where the tape is supposed to go to connect. I'm a very visual person. And so for me, oftentimes, yes, I will watch something, see how it's put together, and then I will have to just kind of feel it out for myself then if I don't have the video or whatever in front of me. So that's what I'm doing here. These are actually so much easier to put together than you think they are. And when you look at those dies, I know at least I was intimidated at first when I saw them, but I love this whole concept of a little shaker on a treat box. Like, how cute is that? And I didn't decorate it as much as I originally had planned to do, but I think this is so cute. All right, I was just so anxious to get them together, I guess. All right, so I'm peeling off the release paper on the very bottom and the sides, and I'm just going to attach that down to the inside and kind of tuck everything in to make sure that everything is lined up the way that it's supposed to be lined up. You know, I don't want anything sticking where it's not supposed to stick. So we've got our sides, and we'll have our bottom all lined up. The top will remain open because that's where we want to put our shaker bits. Okay, and so I've decided that we're going to use some Poolside shaker bits. These are those flat back sequins. They're so pretty. I was thinking maybe I could add other colors, but I kind of like the monochromatic edge that this seems to have. So We're going to stick with that. Just kind of playing around, make sure that I've got enough in there. I think that's plenty. And then we'll peel off the rest of our release paper on the top and those two tiny sides. And then we can just kind of tuck that inside, and those shaker bits aren't going anywhere. All right, so now we just have to assemble the rest of our box. So for me, that's the easiest way to put these together. I've tried other ways, but I like this way. I'm also going to bring in some of this 1/8 inch, I think it's the 1/8 inch ribbon stick. And we're going to go all the way around the sides of those open areas. We're also going to put some of the 1/4 inch ribbon stick on the bottom small tabs, just on the small tabs, because that's where that's going to tuck in. We'll peel off the release paper on the sides, and then we'll close that up. And I did go ahead and peel off the release paper on the bottom as well. But here we're going to peel off that release paper on this side, and we'll tuck that over. And then I am going to use a little bit of the Crafty Gluefriend on the bottom. I just love the extra security that it gives. I think the ribbon stick works great, but this is watercolor paper, and I did add some texture to that, you know, with all the stress spray stain, and I just want to make sure that that stays. So better safe than sorry, right? Okay, before I close that up, I have to put some ribbon stick on here as well in this tab. We'll peel off that release paper, making sure that's really on there, and then we'll do once again with that Crafty Gluefriend just to make sure everything stays. Then we can flip it over and use our fingers just to manipulate and make sure that everything is connecting. I'm going to fold over those sides. And then we're going to go ahead and make the other treat box the same way that we made this one. I just love how these turned out. Now, I did lose a little bit of footage where I die cut out the names and just glued those on there, but that's fairly self-explanatory. Isn't that cute? I've got these darling little gift boxes. I'm so in love with how they are. You can put some candy in there, a little gift card, whatever you want, something fun. But yeah, I hope this inspires you to want to get a little bit inky. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button. Definitely consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. And as always, I'll see you very soon in another video. Bye, everybody.